Mysterious ice cream deaths of 19th and early 29th century. How ice cream killed many people. Hey there, friend, let me tell you about typhoid fever. It was no joke back in the day. This disease was highly contagious and could easily kill you. In fact, in 1916 alone, it killed 20,000 Americans and sickened 300,000 more. Can you imagine the cost of lost wages and medical care? A whopping $130 million. That's insane. Honestly, I'm so glad we live in modern times where we have access to better healthcare and hygiene practices. Typhoid fever was a nightmare, and I'm glad we don't have to deal with it anymore. It is very common now, but then, many did not know that contaminated water and food were recognized as the main culprits of typhoid fever infection way back in 1850. But get this, the idea that ice cream could spread the disease was unthinkable. That is until the spring of 1898, when U.S. troops gathered at Camp Alger in Falls Church, Virginia to train for war. Let me tell you, conditions at that camp were beyond miserable: overcrowding, sweltering heat, and to top it all off, typhoid fever. Can you believe it? It's enough to make me want to scream. Honestly, the fact that ice cream could transmit the disease is just mind-boggling. It's a good thing we know better now, but man, what a dark time that must have been. Before we continue, please, it's important you like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it is a sure way to help this channel and keep the creator motivated. Having said this, let's continue. Sadly, to the height of it, swarms of flies, spoiled food, and inadequate medical care were present in the camp, which ultimately led to a decrease in morale. Unfortunately, this set the stage for contagious diseases, including typhoid fever. It is believed that the disease was brought to the camp by men who may have been unaware that they were carriers. The disease then spread rapidly through contaminated drinking water and dirty dishes. Despite the efforts of medical officers, basic hygiene was not enforced, and the outbreak could not be contained. It is with great regret that I must inform you of this unfortunate situation. So, get this. 1 month into the epidemic, General William Graham, who was clearly the only one with any sense, noticed that a bunch of sick soldiers had eaten ice cream from some sketchy vendors hanging around the camp. And what did he do? He banned all ice cream sales at the camp. But, surprise, surprise, his men were too dumb and lazy to follow the rules and kept smuggling in that creamy, disease-ridden goodness. And what happened? The epidemic got worse. Thousands of guys got sick and over 200 died. Can you believe it? I mean, come on people, control your urge, it's not rocket science. But I guess some people just never learn. Simultaneously, ice cream was sickening hundreds of people around the country. Between 1880 and 1920, dozens of outbreaks of ice cream-related illnesses were reported to city and state health departments. On a 4th of July, 1886 celebration, ice cream made dozens of adults ill and caused the deaths of 2 children attending a picnic near Pinckneyville, Noise. 70 cases of illness that occurred in Brooklyn, New York, in 1914 to 1915 were traced to ice cream sold at local soda fountains. In 1915, water leaking from a faulty sewage system in the town of Gallup, New Mexico, contaminated a dairy farmer's well. Bacteria were passed from the groundwater into the milk and cream from the farmer's herd, and in turn to ice cream made by a shop in the town. More than 80 people were sickened. The year 1916 brought significant outbreaks of ice cream. Simultaneously, ice cream was sickening hundreds of people around the country. Between 1880 and 1920, dozens of outbreaks of ice cream-related illnesses were reported to city and state health departments. Honestly, I'm not sure how anyone could have thought it was a good idea to eat ice cream back then. It's a good thing we've come a long way in terms of food safety.